this is what I'm going to do to change my life. And you're gonna watch me do it. The most regretful people on earth are those who felt the call to creative work, who felt their own creative power restive and uprising, and gave to it neither power nor time. Hi, that's me. That quote is 100% about me. It is crazy how relatable that is. If you're new here, I'm Jessica. For the past couple of months, I've just done book stuff, but my life is changing. My life is crumbling around me and I need to make an active change. This is gonna be a bit of a vulnerable video, so if you're interested, I hope you stick around. I'm 37 years old. I am staring down the barrel of inevitability. I've been at the same corporate job for about 10 years and I'm tired. I'm just so over it. So over the years, I've had a ton of ambitions, like a ton of things I've wanted to do. Many, like so many. I can't even count. It's kind of embarrassing. I think it's like the curse of an ADHDer, right? To be interested in so many things. I wanted to be an opera singer. I went to school for that. I wanted to run my own business. I wanted to go to medical school. I wanted to run my own home care agency. Those are just, and to be as cliche as possible, the tip of the freaking iceberg, truly. The main problem with all of this is that I suck like the majority of the time at almost anything. I hit a wall and I'm like, I am fucking bad at this. Why continue? So I guess to understand a little bit more about me, let's talk about my story. So I was born to be mediocre. That is really harsh, but it's true. I'm just average. I have lots of ambition, but almost no drive. I'm one of those steady eddies that works a job for 50 years before they retire, and for what? Especially with the world, how it is today, like what am I retiring to? I don't have a retirement fund. I don't have a home. I have no kids, which is by choice. But literally for what? All I would be retiring to is a completely fractured world that is falling apart and swallowed ambitions. If I'm being completely honest with you, it's sad. I feel like I have unspent potential. To put things into perspective, my parents were also mediocre. I fortunately don't mean their parenting was mediocre, but rather their ambition, their drive, their want for more. Maybe at one time they had big dreams, but by the time I came around, I think the world had handed them their ass one too many times, or maybe it's just like a Midwestern mindset thing. I say this affectionately, of course, because instead of pushing and prodding and begging me to be my best, we just existed. My childhood was anxiety-free. We laughed, we had lazy weekends, and when I came home with C's on my report card, I got a pat on the back and some Dairy Queen, which I'm not upset by. I love Dairy Queen and I love lazy weekends. In my life, I have had the opportunity to excel literally at any moment. I was on the swim team. I played softball and basketball, even though I'm about 5'3". I was in choir. I was in show choir. I was in marching band. I was in every musical that I could audition for, but nothing ever stuck. I would always hit that wall where I realized I was not good at it and I would stop doing it. In college, I threw myself into music and hoped that my born mediocrity was due to proximity alone. I had hoped that I could cure myself by not being near the vector. But of course, I'm just simply a product of my upbringing. My parents would always say, do what makes you happy. But the problem is that growth comes from the uncomfortable. It comes from change and pressure and intentional hard work. Work that makes you strain. Pressure makes diamonds and all that. And unfortunately, this is something that I wouldn't learn until right this very moment, until I'm 37. It took that long. I feel like now my frontal lobe has fully formed and I get it, but it literally took that long. I naively thought that most talent was just that. Talent, not skill, not thorough, painstaking, tear-inducing work. I thought stupidly that it was just something you were born with. I know I'm not alone in this thought, especially when it comes to the arts. For whatever reason, we feel it's a divine gift, even when we aren't really religiously inclined. So here I am, at 37 years old, and without being too self-deprecating, my mediocrity is the inciting incident. This is the thing that is going to change my day to day and push me into adventure. I've had my fair share of calls to action and I've ignored them all. every last freaking one of them. Mainly because I didn't think it was possible, but also because, as I mentioned before, I wasn't ever really good at much of anything. Sure, I'd throw myself into a new hobby, I would maladaptive daydream about what it would be like to do this as a career, but inevitably I'd hit a point where I realized I really wasn't that good, and why do anything at all if you suck? But therein lies the trick, right? You're gonna suck. You're gonna be bad, at least at first, and that is totally okay. So, in the words of Jake from Adventure Time,
dude, sucking at something is the first step towards being sorta good at something.
And why did it take me so long to realize that? Why am I making this video? I want to be a writer. Not just any writer. I want to be a traditionally published author. And that's what this video is about. This is what I'm going to do to change my life. And you're gonna watch me do it. So how am I gonna do it? The short answer is I'm just gonna write. I'm just gonna write as much as I possibly can. I do have a 9-to-5. I'm gonna write as much as I can. I'm going to record as much as I can so that you guys can see my journey. I'm gonna read as much as I can. But the long answer is I'm going to be creating curriculums for myself, for the writing craft, for literature. I've already read a ton of craft books, so I will make a video on the craft books that I've been reading and what I've learned so far, but that's how it's gonna work. Whatever I learn, you will learn. I have a writers group every month. Not only is my work getting critiqued, which is amazing and completely invaluable, but I am also critiquing other people's work, which I think is also invaluable. So I do that once a month. I would love to bring you along with me. So in short, everything I do to learn about writing, I'm gonna share here. I did want to tell you a little bit about my reading and writing influences so you know what to expect and what books I'll be reading and what sort of things we'll be talking about. The first one I'll talk about is Toni Morrison, the queen herself. She is a huge influence on me. I love Sula, I love The Bluest Eye. I have so many more of her books to get through, but I know I will be floored with each and every one of them. I love Ya Jessie. Homegoing changed me so fundamentally. It is so, so good. I am holding off reading Transcendent Kingdom because I know those are her only 2 books, so I'm hoping by the time I get to Transcendent Kingdom, she'll have put out another book. I also love T. Kingfisher. She is so good at writing fantasy. I also have read some of her horror books, and they are amazing. And last but certainly not least is Shauna McGuire. I fell in love with her Wayward Children series. Absolutely love her. And as Mira Grant, I read Overgrowth, and that was so good. So these are just a little bit of my influences, and hopefully someday you can see the influences in my writing. So what can you plan to see from my channel? I had already mentioned it before, but everything that I'm learning, you will get to learn. I do hope to share some of my writing, the classes that I'm taking, the events that I go to, writing vlogs, what I'm reading vlogs, and so, so much more. So if you can think of anything that you would like to see me do, write it in the comments. So this has been an incredibly vulnerable post. It feels weird to want to be something and not just hope to be something. So if you're interested in my journey to watch me change my life, please hit that like button and follow button, and I will see you on the New York Times bestseller list.